Rachel Zegler, who was cast in the title role, but some diehard fans were upset that Zegler, who identifies as Colombian American, was cast to portray the Disney princess. Disney's Snow White, faithfully adapted, would have made $1 billion. Everyone knows this.
Rachel Zegler's big shot in the live-action Snow White was supposed to be her moment. A major Disney project, a beloved classic fairy tale, and a rising star ready to take over Hollywood. What could possibly go wrong, right? But the second, whispers started flying about massive changes to the original story. The internet got loud, fast. And things really spiraled when rumors exploded that Jack Black had confronted Zegler behind the scenes over the chaos happening during production, and her fiery, no-holds-barred defense of the film. Word is, that clash might have been the final straw for Zegler. The pressure? Absolutely off the charts. What started as a glitzy, feel-good Disney reboot quickly morphed into a full-blown disaster. Fans began throwing serious shade over the creative decisions that completely missed the mark, and instead of calming things down, early test screenings only stirred the pot even more. Some insiders are now saying Disney might have finally crossed the line, pushing too hard to modernize their beloved classics. And this time, they're paying the price. Even before the rumored Jack Black and Rachel Zegler tension, the buzz around Snow White wasn't good. Hardcore Disney fans, the ones who usually ride or die for every reboot, were already raising eyebrows. Something just felt off. The story's vibe, kinda preachy, the pacing, all over the place. Complaints started pouring in from early audiences, and the noise only got louder with every update. Then came the damage control. Bob Iger and Rachel Zegler both stepped out publicly, trying to calm the storm, telling everyone the film was just misunderstood. But honestly, it didn't land. The backlash just kept growing. Behind the scenes, it was even messier. Rumors of rushed reshoots and frantic last-minute edits started swirling. Entire scenes were reportedly yanked or shuffled around, leaving the final cut with serious whiplash. People close to the test screenings said the movie kicked off strong, but fell apart fast, turning into a wild, confusing ride. Some said the heart of the story got buried under heavy-handed messages and awkward pacing. What should have been a magical revival of one of Disney's most iconic princesses ended up feeling like a clunky, soulless misfire. Then came the Jack Black twist. Known for his wild energy and blunt honesty, Black allegedly pulled Zegler aside and pressed her about how she was handling the criticism. Word on the street? Jack straight up asked if calling fans ignorant or hateful was really the move. And that conversation, it didn't go down smooth. According to the buzz, it exploded into a full-blown showdown. Zegler reportedly broke down, not just because of Jack, but from the insane pressure of carrying a Disney giant while facing non-stop online hate. Insiders think it all just became too overwhelming. The reshoots, the internet dragging her daily, the way the storyline got flipped, all of it piling up. And Jack Black's bold confrontation? That might have been the final blow. Once the gossip leaked online, the internet ran wild with it, treating it as proof something was seriously wrong behind the scenes. This wasn't about creative differences anymore. It felt like real frustration bleeding onto the set, rattling the cast and crew. Disney and Zegler stayed completely silent about what went down with Jack Black, but that didn't stop the internet from running its own investigations. People who already doubted the remake grabbed onto the drama and sprinted with it, painting the set as chaotic and Rachel as overwhelmed. Meanwhile, a few voices tried to cool things down, reminding everyone that big productions always have tension, and emotions sometimes boil over without it meaning the ship's sinking. But the main question refused to die. How did Snow White, one of the most beloved fairy tales ever, turn into this lightning rod for controversy? And if Jack Black really confronted Zegler, what bigger issues were bubbling underneath? Rachel kept standing by the story publicly, insisting the film had a message worth telling. But critics weren't buying it. They said no amount of polished PR could cover up deeper problems. They pointed fingers at the script, slamming it for clunky structure, jarring scene changes, and pacing that never gave the audience time to connect. Even if Jack Black had a cameo or helped creatively, critics argued it couldn't save a film buried under way too much messaging. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler's reactions to the hate were making waves, too. She dropped hints that a lot of the backlash wasn't even honest, calling out what she saw as bad faith critiques. She never named names, but the way she said it rubbed some folks the wrong way. To them, it felt like she was brushing off legit feedback, and that only made things worse. It sounded way too familiar to fans who've been watching Disney's recent controversies. Every time people spoke up, they got labeled as trolls instead of real customers with real concerns. That kind of dismissal? It just turned up the heat. People who used to back Disney's reboots, like Jungle Book, Beauty and the Beast, even Aladdin, started backing away. And the behind-the-scenes drama between Zegler and Jack Black only added more fuel to the fire. Insiders say the reshoots were brutal. Scenes chopped, switched, shuffled, so much that the story completely lost its rhythm. Key moments were either removed or shoved out of place, making the whole thing feel scrambled. Hardcore fans who got early access said the movie had zero flow. 1 minute serious, the next minute playful, but never quite nailing either. It felt like the producers were scrambling, trying to blend fairy tale nostalgia with a modern spin, and ended up confusing everybody instead. Some even think Jack Black, if he did step in, was just fed up. Not with Zegler personally, but with the fact that what could have been a fun musical hit got drowned out by messy rewrites and online drama. The heart of the film got lost, but here's the real red flag. Fans who usually ride or die for Disney remakes were now speaking out against this one. And when your most loyal followers start flipping, that's not just noise, that's a warning. This wasn't just a case of picky opinions. People saw it as a sign that Disney might be losing its magic touch. And the ripple effect? It could shake future projects too. If that rumored blow-up between Rachel Zegler and Jack Black really happened, it wasn't just a private clash. It symbolized how tension on set had hit a boiling point. Behind the scenes, people were already asking, why did this version of Snow White stray so far from the heart of the original? Sure, updating a classic can breathe new life into it, but critics argued this one didn't breathe. It ditched its soul. Instead of telling a strong story, the film seemed way too focused on pushing a message. And that shift? It didn't sit right with a lot of fans. Even those who support reimagined classics admitted, if the message starts sounding like a lecture, the magic gets lost. The whole point of an adaptation is to connect with new generations, not push them away. And then came the tone from the top. Public comments from the team made it sound like anyone who didn't get the film just wasn't smart or supportive enough. That attitude, it only fired people up more. Fans started asking, why were valid complaints being brushed off like noise? That's where Jack Black's rumored involvement hit harder. If he really did challenge Zegler's approach, it added weight to the idea that the problems weren't just fan drama. They were real. Whether Zegler really had a meltdown or not, the story fits too perfectly into the bigger mess people were already seeing. A project full of pressure, mixed messages, and way too many missteps. And then rumors started swirling that Greta Gerwig, who had ties to the film, might step in to say something. Maybe explain the creative choices or try to calm things down. But insiders warned, If it looks like damage control, it won't land well. Especially when fans already feel like they were promised one thing and got something totally different. Here's the harsh truth. When people think a movie flops at its core, in its storytelling, it's nearly impossible to win them back with PR talk. And that's exactly what industry watchers are worried about. With Disney's recent live-action track record getting shakier, some are wondering if the brand's golden reputation is starting to crack. Back when Disney was cranking out live-action remakes, the crowds kept showing up. But now, the hype is cooling off fast. And Snow White's troubles might be the breaking point, a sign that the magic formula isn't working like it used to. Some folks are saying the rumored blow-up between Rachel Zegler and Jack Black isn't just a headline, it's a symbol of a bigger meltdown happening inside Disney's whole remake strategy. If this movie tanks at the box office, execs might finally have to admit flashy nostalgia alone doesn't cut it anymore. Fans want more than a high-budget rehash. They want the feeling that made the original special, because when they sense that a remake is twisting the soul of a beloved story, the backlash is brutal. And people aren't quiet about it either. Online forums, fan pages, content creators, they've been lighting up, saying Disney missed the mark again. They're not against change. Fans want smart updates. They want stories that honor the heart of the classic while still bringing something new. But when things get heavy-handed, when the plot feels all over the place, when the story tries too hard to say something instead of simply being something, people tune out, and disappointment spreads fast. In a bigger sense, Snow White's mess is a mirror of what's happening culturally. Nostalgia doesn't guarantee success anymore. The rumored Jack Zegler clash, real or not, shows how quickly creative tension can turn personal. And in today's super-connected world, audiences crave one thing: authenticity. When you take on a legacy title like Snow White, you have to stay true to its spirit. If people feel like the remake is just a cash grab or an agenda push, the fallout is instant. And the media? Oh, they love a good behind-the-scenes drama, a rising star breaking down, a comedy legend stepping in. It's like reality TV wrapped in a fairy tale flop. This rumored meltdown isn't just gossip. It's become a metaphor, a symbol of how far the project veered off course. And now, the big question is, will Disney listen? Studios sometimes react to disaster by blaming bad marketing or toxic fans, but maybe this time the message is loud enough. Maybe this is the moment they realize audiences want more than recycled stories. They want care. They want heart. If Disney takes that to heart, maybe the next remake won't end in another meltdown. Real or not, the people telling the meltdown story say it all went down when things were already hanging by a thread. Rachel Zegler was reportedly drowning in non-stop social media heat, people coming for her acting, her interviews, her whole vibe. And, from what some say, Jack Black might have stepped in, not to stir the pot, but because he felt that calling out every critic as a troll was only making things worse. The twist? If his goal was to offer a reality check, the whole thing backfired. Now, the meltdown itself is the headline. Whatever real advice he gave, totally buried under drama. According to the rumor mill, Zegler felt blindsided by someone she respected. That shock, mixed with all the pressure, allegedly triggered a major emotional crash. If that really happened, it shows just how intense things had gotten behind the scenes. People tied to the film are probably reassessing their crisis playbook. Right now, in public, the message is all about Snow White being bold, diverse, and forward-thinking. But in private, this meltdown tale might be a wake-up call about what happens when you push too far without grounding it in the story fans know and love. The rumored breakdown has now taken on a life of its own, turning into a cautionary tale for future reboots. But not everyone buys it. Some die-hard Disney fans think the whole thing is fake, hyped up by critics who want the movie to flop. They say there's a pattern. A remake drops, fans get anxious about changes, buzz turns sour, then boom, wild stories start flying. Keen, their eyes? This meltdown is just another hit piece meant to drag the film down before it even gets a real shot. But even if the story is exaggerated, it doesn't erase the real complaints. Viewers say the movie feels scrambled. Late edits. Scene swaps. A weird vibe that never settles into one clear tone. Production insiders admit there were tons of rewrites trying to fix the structure, but nothing fully stuck. What's left is a movie that feels stitched together. Some cool ideas, sure, but no flow, and that's why the meltdown rumor fits so well. It matches what people are already feeling, that this project lost control somewhere along the way. Whether the clash with Jack Black happened or not, it rings true because the tension feels real. It reflects the chaos fans sensed in every trailer, every leak, every awkward quote. The meltdown has become a symbol. The moment the pressure finally blew the lid off a film already cracking under mixed visions, and now the real test is coming. Fast. Snow White's opening weekend will speak louder than any rumor. If audiences actually turn out and love it, all this drama could get buried in the past. And that meltdown moment, whether true or twisted by the internet, has become the symbol of a much bigger mess. Creative friction, corporate decisions, audience demands, and the delicate challenge of rewriting a classic without destroying its soul. In the end, whether Rachel Zegler really broke down after Jack Black called her out, or the whole thing was just rumor-fueled chaos, it doesn't even matter anymore. The story has taken on a life of its own. It represents what so many people are feeling, that Snow White was supposed to be a sure win, but turned into a case study on how not to remake a legend. Now, all eyes are on what happens next. If the movie flops, Disney might finally have to pull back on the remake machine, or at least approach the next one with more care and respect. But if it somehow crushes it at the box office, the defenders will scream victory, and the meltdown talk might just fade into the background. Either way, this whole roller coaster proves one thing. When fandom, corporate strategy, and artistic passion collide, it can create more drama than the movie itself. So what do you think? Was the meltdown real? Did Disney fumble Snow White? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear it all. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and smash that notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. See you in the next one.